It's your boy Zay-P, Zay-P to I am. I am that I am, as you are that you are, for we are all that we are. From the individual to the many, from the many comes the all, and the all is one. So your boy's back at it, back with a brand new video. And energies have been coming in hot and heavy, and they've been throwing everybody for a loop. So I figured I'd jump on today just to do a quick video, talk a little bit about what's going on in the current energies and what is to be expected for March 2021. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here or if you've been here for a long time, be sure to just take a moment, like the video if you can, and subscribe or follow. And so currently what's happening in the collective is that we're going through a period of huge shifts within the collective consciousness, within our collective timelines. The timelines are evolving. Notice I say timelines with an S because there are multiple, and what's happening right now is the sorting process. What Spirit is giving me right now, they're showing us, the collective, being sorted by our choices. We're being sorted as to which trajectory we want to move into, as to what timeline we want to specifically manifest in our personal experiences. So whether that's more of a physical, third dimensional, concrete, denser energies, denser timelines, or if that is a more high vibratory, fifth dimensional, esoteric timeline where it's more about aligning the mind, body, and soul and navigating through life with ease and flow, or whether it's about constriction and facing the hardcore realities of our day-to-day lives and actually forcing our way through the rigmarole to kind of break through to the next levels. Either way, there's no right or wrong. The idea is that we're encouraged into our own spiritual and cellular growth. With that said, that can happen along any lines. That can happen along any particular path or trajectory. What's coming up for, well, before we even get into what's coming up for March, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening here at the end of February. And so right now, the energy shifts have been so vast since last week with the numerous snowstorms that's been affecting much of the Western region, as far as the United States, Canada, South America, all of the American territory, so to speak. With all of that great freeze that we've just recently kind of come through, what I was experiencing through that period of time is that the weather had been acting a bit as a suppressant. It was dampening and lowering our vibrations and our energies and suppressing where we typically reside, which is on the surface of things. And what was coming up through that was that what was underneath was coming up, but it was coming up very subconsciously. It was coming up very subtly. And so you may have been experiencing a lot of blah moments, a lot of moments of just, I'm going through my motions. We're going through the day to day, but it feels very blah today. I don't really feel too enthused about anything, but I'm mustering up the image, I'm mustering up the strength or the courage or the fortitude to get through my days. It's a normal day. You may not have been feeling bad or down or depressed, but there's just this underlining theme of blah, of melancholy. And so as we've gone through that, all of this underlining blahness that has been coming up for many of us has really been in efforts to purge a lot of the emotions that's been underlining the collective, but it's also for us to really start to face with what we're dealing with internally below the surface. And so as that's been coming up, a lot of people have been processing those deeper thoughts, those deeper emotions, and we've been experiencing the bombardment of energies, which has caused all sorts of ascension shifts. Huge ascension shift that seems to be particularly prominent at this point being fatigue and all of the symptoms that arise through fatigue. So fatigue in the body, an inability to rest, or just in not normal sleeping patterns. The sleeping patterns have been changing. Those who typically do not recall the dreams are having more vivid dreams than others than ever. those who typically do record dreams are either having less dreams or they're having more exaggerated, out of this world experiences when they go into the dream state. A lot of things are coming up from below the surface, and as that has happened, has caused us on a conscious level to really shake with our integration. As we integrate these new things and these new ideas, this new information, these new emotions that are rising on the conscious level, is causing us to shake as we either purge, expel, or integrate this energy into ourselves, this energy into other consciousness, about whether it's been just the underlining subliminal blah and melancholy and things that we've needed to mourn, things that we needed to release, cords that we've needed to cut, or whether it's just the incoming influx of energies that's been pushing us more towards picking and choosing as far as which timeline we want to go into. And so how that plays out as we roll into March is that as the time comes, as this choice becomes clearer and clearer, rather, as this choice becomes clearer and clearer in our own lives, as we tend to make this choice in our everyday moments, in our everyday decisions, in the actions we take on a day-to-day basis, all of that are just incremental steps down one particular timeline or another. So depending on that is how we are choosing. And it's not a conscious just, okay, I want to choose this higher dimensional timeline. It's a matter of how are you being in your everyday moments, which is going to lead you to one or the other timeline. Now, as that's happening, what we're experiencing is that right now, March is bringing in this energy of really balance, of really the know thyself. With that, what's coming in is that we're really being called and we're really being pushed to kind of come into alignment between the heart and the head, to kind of come into alignment between what we know and what we feel, and this dualistic perspective. We're stepping to a point in time where we're getting to bring these things to balance. If you can bring these things to balance, you're going to be more in control as to which timeline you're choosing into. But however, if these things are not in balance in your day-to-day experience and you're still walking around the world separating and dividing your own self, pretending to be or just being a part of yourself around these people, but not being, being something completely different around those people, having your spiritual side, but that's a secret that's in the closet. Nobody knows you're into these things. Nobody knows you're watching this video. Meanwhile, at the same time, publicly, you're out there presenting as something that doesn't really resonate with you, right? So we're just the splitting of the selves. That in itself is a choice that leads to one particular direction in your timeline choices. But when you bring them together and you are able to be your whole and complete self in all scenarios, you're making another choice towards the other timeline. And so what's really being called for now is for us, as these things have been rising, and as we're working on integrating these new energies, these new insights, these newfound understandings of ourselves and of the collective, of the world around us, as we're integrating all of that, we're coming to the place where that needs to be played out in the choice that we make, whether we are bridging that gap, ending that separateness within ourselves, ending that duality, to face both our light and our dark, to actually deal with those underlying emotions that were there all along we may not have been dealing with in the past. Whether that's just a simple acknowledgement or a simple releasing or letting go, or whether that's actually doing some dirty shadow work and dealing with some tough stuff. We can either do that, or if we're choosing to continue to live a life where everything is distinct and separate and compartmentalized, and we're picking and choosing which is of most value to us at the moment. See, the truth of the matter is, all of us is always of value, and that is where our perfection lies, in our wholeness, But as we divide ourselves and we're picking and choosing and investing, oh, it's more important for me to be grounded and practical and stuck on my finances. And so I commit more energy to that, but I am not grounded in my spirit, or I am not grounded in my emotional energy, or I am not grounded in my physical presence, right? I spend so much time thinking, valuing how powerful the mind is and how effective I can be mentally, that I don't spend enough time on my body, on my vessel. And so now I'm in this space where I'm torn. My mind may be developed, but my body may be weak. My body's incapable of handling these newer upgrades because I split myself, right? And so March is calling for us to really look at how we're living our lives and pick and choose which trajectory we want to go into, towards the higher, more aligned trajectory, one that's encouraging more wholeness, one that's helping us to step forward into more of whom we are, more of our own abundance, more of our own light, love, to be descended and grounded in reality? Or are we choosing to be split and separate in our energies and focus on just one specific thing, or one specific asset, or one specific aspect to ourselves at the expense of other less important things? And if there's no right or wrong with the choices. However, if you're choosing to split yourself because, say, my finances are more important, say my intellectual capacity is more important, and less important is my personal fulfillment, and less important is my physical development, well, then we're going to create a reality that basically exalts our financial aspects and our mental aspects, but does nothing for our physical body, does nothing for our emotional selves. And then we find ourselves in these really distinct and secular lives that will often feel incomplete, lives where we'll still be doing that work to try to offset the balance. And so March is definitely the opportunity for you to pick and choose, but it's going to take some mindfulness, and it's going to take some commitment to the choice. And so that is what's coming up right now. How willing are you to consistently make that higher choice, or to consistently make that choice that's going to allow you to be whole and complete in whom you want to be as you move forward? Or are you going to make the choice that is going to allow you to focus on one area or another at the expense of the rest of yourself? Not to say that this is anything wrong with that, because you may have come in just to experience that, right? People can incarnate, and one of the things they're working on at this particular time may be to feel abundance financially, maybe to feel that wealth. They may have had experiences of poverty, of tragedy, of trauma. And so for them, that choice to experience something different, solely focused on financial prosperity, may be the most important experience for that person's life. So this is not a call to judgment, but this is just to let you know this is what's facing us come March. There are going to be a lot of triggers coming up from the subconscious realm, just like the great freeze that we've just kind of gone through, which suppressed a lot of what was happening on the conscious level to allow us to feel and experience what was happening below the surface. Going into March, we're going to get more of that. You're going to get more triggers, more stimuli, more things in your face to make you really think, feel, and reflect upon how you are feeling with all of these scenarios, and how and whom you are being. So you get to choose, but this is the energy coming forth for March. The time for choice is upon us, and the choices we make are going to be reflected by the actions we take. The choice is always yours, but this is your energy report for March 2021. It's your boy Zay-P, and I'm out.